Welcome everybody. We are so excited that you're here and are going to be part of this learning experience. Our day will include, as you all know, a pre-brief, and then we'll observe in Meg's room, and then we'll have a debrief when we're finished. And each piece will take, this first piece will take about 40 minutes or so, and then we'll have an hour observation and then an hour debrief as well. So, yeah.
And I'll go. I said today I can observe a reading lesson, be able to take away new strategies in order to meet the diverse class of readers that I have. My goal is to be able to give some positive feedback to you as a teacher, and I'm going to be mindful of pausing and paraphrasing and being a good listener today. So.
I look forward to learning more about the Marzano scales and student goal setting, and then goal setting for myself too as a teacher. I look forward to seeing how Meg integrates that within the lesson that she's teaching.
Like to become better, and as we implement the Common Core, one of the things that our students have to be able to do is to think more deeply. And last spring, a couple things happened that gave me kind of those aha moments. I was having a modeling session on a book with my group of students, and I asked the kids, "What did you notice that I'm doing?" which I often ask them. And one of my students said, "You're thinking deeply." And I thought that, yay, that's exactly what I want to hear. But she wasn't thinking deeply. When I really reflected, she can say, you have to think deeply, but then what is that? What does that look like? How do kids show us that they're thinking deeply? Another thing happened around the same time. I had a lab school session, and Colleen took notes of what I said, and always shares those with us. And when a student had answered a question, I had said, "Awesome." And I tend to be very positive with my kids, which I used to think was a strength. I guess I still think it's a strength, and see the good in what they do. But I realized by that comment, "Awesome," I was stopping their thinking. I'm really interested in the type of language that I use in the classroom and how that really does impact my students' thinking. My personal goal has really been to improve my oral language with my students. And this is still new to me, so I'm going to try to be doing that in my lesson today, but I do have to catch myself sometimes, that I don't do that. Also, I continue to work on the whole idea of the gradual release model, which was a big focus for us last year. All right, so that's my personal focus. When I look at my students and why I'm doing the lesson that I'm doing now, we all administered the DE test, and when I looked at my students' results, two of their weakest areas had to do with the main idea of a poem, and then also with informational reading, how does the author support an idea in the text. In fact, the main idea of the poem, I only had 59% of my kids that got that right, and on the informational text, only 55% had that right. So when I think about main idea and the theme of writing, I think of the reading strategy of determining importance, because you have to be able to determine what's important to be able to get to those places. Of course, you also have to be able to infer. So yesterday I actually shared those goals with the kids, and they're now posted in the room. And I said, I think it's really important that we stop and think about what I hope to accomplish this year with you. And so I turned them into I can statements. And so the reading goals for literature is I can determine central ideas and summarize. I can retell stories using a summary of the text. I can explain how details convey a theme or central idea. I can summarize the text to illustrate the theme. So today's lesson, my mini lesson, is that I can use context clues and background knowledge to infer meaning from the story to understand the author's themes. Now, this is the third day we're working on themes. I will do a gradual release model in my lesson, and so what that will look like is the first part of the book I will be reading and modeling my thinking, and I'll not be asking for any of their input at first. I'll continue reading and ask them to do some pair sharing. They have pair share partners that have been assigned to them since the first week of school. you to collect evidence, and Colleen, I think, will help you with the idea of how to do that, related to the student responses and conversations around their understanding of the theme and main idea. And as far as me, I like you to collect evidence related to my responses when students answer my questions. So, and when I say that, I'm thinking, am I helping my students think more deeply by probing their initial response?